All right, I think we're live, so let's just give it a couple of seconds just so we can ensure it comes up on the stream and all is good. Hello everybody, welcome. I'll introduce you in a second. Sierra, let's just make sure, I just want to make sure we're all coming up on the stream and everything is working well. Here we are. All right. Hi everybody, welcome to our first weekly live stream. With me is Sierra, who recently joined the team.
Hello.
A couple of weeks ago and has been working tirelessly on some of these Copilot Plus laptops with me. And Sierra's background is, well, I mean, you can introduce your background. I want to go and do that, but she's here to help us with script writing, with a lot of writing work. If you guys have been following the channel for a while, we have a very, very big website. And she's also here to help with, testing some of the laptops. The way we test here, as you guys know, is we actually use the laptops, writing both the articles and the scripts, and also being on camera, hopefully. So yeah.
Hi, I'm Sierra. I actually come from an IT background, but I am also a writer in my spare time. So then I decided to pursue that as a profession, and Josh was, kind enough to be like, "Hey, come work for me." So that worked out, and I'm excited to be here.
And I think that's actually a really good point, and I'm so glad you mentioned that, that you have an IT background, and you have a hardcore IT background, right?
Yeah, I was an app dev for 3 years, and then I was a BA in a data management space.
Yeah, that's right. So, and I think that's something that's very important to this channel. You know, we have a lot of software developers who watch the channel, and I think as I talk about our secret sauce, I think one thing is that we actually use the laptops for everything we do. We've started to put a slide at the end of our videos to say which laptops we use to make those videos. But I think the other thing is that, we have a lot of computer science experience here, whether it's myself, Sierra, we have Kaim, I'm not sure if he's watching, who is also comes from an AI data science background. We have obviously Trehan and a bunch of others. So we do have a very, very heavy computer science background on the team. So let's, so I think Sierra's already been introduced for those who are just noticing her here now, with a C, by the way, for whoever's just commented. So let's, we thought we're going to try weekly live streams to see if we can do it. I think it pushes us as a team to make sure, we're doing this regularly for you. And I think the aim of what we're trying to do here is our videos take quite a while to make. So we often have findings about laptops that we know about 2 weeks, I'd say, before the video goes live. And it feels, I think we can do more for you guys if we presented them more frequently. So what we're going to do today is we've got a couple of talking points. We're going to answer some questions, of course, and trying to help you with your buying decisions. And we're going to try and hopefully stick to time. But the first thing I thought we'd talk about is the videos that we're working on that haven't gone live yet, to give you a little bit of a hint of what's coming. So this week we launched one, I think it was, I can't remember, when did we launch, Monday or Sunday? I can't remember. We've launched one this week on the Surface laptops, which should you buy.
Yes.
And we're trying to hit about 2 videos per week, but some weeks we have really, really big ones that we're working on, and this is one of those. We're working on one of our biggest videos of the year. It's the best laptops for students, and we've spent a ton of time on this one. It's going to be one of our longer videos. It's probably about 15, 16 minutes, and we do count down. We go through what we think students should really be buying. We talk about the different types of laptops, being the Qualcomm ones and who should buy them versus, Apple and the traditional ones. We even talk about Chromebooks. And then we give our top 10 or 11 recommendations. So we've been working super hard on that one. We're actually trying to follow the vibe that we did when we talked about the Qualcomm laptops, where we introduced different personas, and we got something really cool for that. So this kind of person should buy this laptop, this kind should buy this, and it's really cool. So that one is what we've been working pedal to the metal on, best laptop for students. And then the next one, and maybe you want to talk a little bit about that one. The one coming after that one is...
is the one about our Copilot Snapdragon laptops after we've had them for about a month now. I actually came in the week that we got them. It was hectic, but it was so fun. And I've gotten to use them as much as any other laptop. So I've gotten to be really close to the reviewing process and learning about what works and what doesn't work. And obviously you guys have seen hopefully the first video that goes over that a little bit, but this video is going to be more about our actual thoughts now that we've used them for longer. And I'm really excited to, be a part of that video. I'm probably going to be on that video to some extent. So I'm excited about that one. That's been one of the first ones that I'm writing almost fully by myself. So wish me luck.
And on that one, let's give people a little bit more meat to the bone in terms of what we're seeing with the Copilot laptop here. So I'm just reading the comment here. In terms of what we're seeing. So, overall with these Copilot Plus laptops, I think what we're finding is Surface Laptop 7 with the X Plus is just, particularly the X Plus version, it's just fantastic value. You're getting a very high-end premium laptop. It's a really good all-round laptop. And again, so long as you stick to the applications that really work well. And we all know they work very well for the Microsoft applications for the most part. And some specialist applications work, but you're going to have to do the research. So that one's a great one. But I think with all of the others, we've kind of got two buckets, right? The bucket of, hey, these really aren't worth buying, right? They just aren't. There's just better value. Like a good example, probably the Inspiron we're having a tough time with, the Dell Inspiron, we're having a tough time with the HP OmniBook in terms of, like, we struggle to find the value unless those really drop significantly in price.
Because they're already $1,000 laptops.
That's right, yeah. They're premiumly priced laptops, and they just don't deliver that premium experience. So they need to drop like $300-400. They need to be about $700-800 to make those viable. And then there is the laptops that we feel, other than the Surface, that all of them kind of have a gotcha, right?
Yeah.
Like it's about choosing the one with the gotcha that you can live with. Like the Slim 7X, I think a viewer just mentioned it. That is a great laptop. It's one of our top ones. But there's the gotcha, you know, the trackpad isn't quite as good as the other ones. It really isn't. It feels like you're buying a laptop trackpad from like a $500 laptop or a $600, but you put it in a laptop where everything else is like a $1,200 laptop. So it's really
and I really like that one, but it's still, the trackpad's not great, and of course the application compatibility is what you know, this chatter mentioned too. Is just that if that's a no-go, the laptops are a no-go for you, frankly.
Yeah. Ethan, do you want to just check with Kime if you wouldn't mind moderating, just in case? I see someone's deleting it, or you deleting messages. Okay, someone's moderating.
We do have a couple laptop questions already.
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
So I am an AI/ML student, and I'm searching for a laptop for CSE, AI machine learning, I assume. So which laptop do you recommend for CSE? In my class, I have a plug in my desk, so I want a gaming laptop, price under $2,000.
Oh, funny enough, we just discussed this morning, because the best laptop for student video, which I mentioned earlier, that's the one we're working on right now. The final part, we film over 3 days for this one because it's quite a big one. The part that we're filming today is the gaming laptop part, right, for powerful ones. I mean, do you want to go through what we're kind of discussing between the ones?
Sure, yeah. So we had a newer one come in recently, the Acer Predator Helios 14. We really liked. Neo.
Yeah.
Sorry, Neo 14. And we also had the G14, which is a great entry. The Omen Transcend is another one that we really like. And then we have some more like mid-range to budget, like the Legion Slim 514.
Yeah.
And so we are like evaluating what the best is for a student, and at the end of the day we're kind of thinking that it depends on what you're specifically looking for. Like if you're a student first, gamer second, then you might be more of an Omen Transcend person, but if you really just want the most power possible, we're thinking more like G14. But it kind of depends, right? Let's
double click into that, right? Just to explain to people. Obviously we have used and owned all the 14-inch gaming laptops, including the Razer Blade, all of them, right? And what we found is, and I'm responding to the person looking for a computer science laptop for school who's going to, I think they're going to plug into a monitor at home, but the Slim 514, Legion Slim 514 is by far and away the best in terms of it offers the best value. It doesn't feel hot or warm to the touch, which is unbelievable for a 14-inch gaming laptop. You know, it offers the full power of a 4060 or close to it. It really does. It's a fantastic one to get, and it doesn't cost that much compared to some of these other ones. So that one is like almost a must buy, but it's not perfect, right? It is a bit bigger, which is in some senses it's good, right? It's a 14.5-inch laptop, and this is again the Legion Slim 514. If you want something more portable and more premium feeling, the Asus G14 is a good one to get. The fan noise is much better in more recent BIOS and software updates than it was when we first got it, but it does feel very, very warm to the touch. It feels warm in light use, just a little bit warm, and very warm in heavy use. And so with that one, it's the one to get if you're going to walk around with school all day with it. When you come home, you plug it into an external monitor, okay? Then on the flip side, which Sierra was saying, if you're student first, gaming second, the HP Omen Transcend does deliver a more premium experience than the Legion Slim 514, but that one, and it's also a much more comfortable experience than the G14. It doesn't get overly hot or loud. It's a very comfortable premium feeling gaming laptop, but the graphics performance in it is significantly throttled, okay? So those are probably, I think, the three that we've kind of delved into. The Acer Predator Helios Neo that Sierra mentioned is very, very nice. That really surprised us about how nice it is. It is a bit thicker and heavier than some of the others, but it does have that 14.5-inch display, and it also has, I think, more powerful graphics than the Legion Slim 514. I think it tops out at a 4060. But that one is great. The biggest issue with that one is it does get very warm in gaming, like the G14. Very, 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 very warm, I would say. And also you found the heat.
Yeah, the way that the heat exhausted on the right side, actually, while I was using an external mouse to game, it was really uncomfortable for me. So that just made it personally not my favorite.
Yeah, that's right. So those are the ones we got for you. So let's move on, I think, to the next one. So what we're trying to do for you guys, we're trying to wrap Best Laptop for Student video this week, hopefully out Sunday, Monday next week. Then we're going straight on, probably tomorrow, which is a Friday here, we're trying to film the best Copilot Plus laptops. And I think that's going to be a special video because we do have them all in. We have all of them. We've got, the Samsung 14 and 16. We've got the Surface 13, both X Plus, X Elite, and the 15. So we've really got every one of these frigging things. So that's also going to wrap. And then after that, we're very excited because we have a lot of the AMD Zen 5 laptops. So the guys doing the testing are moving straight onto that probably early next week. If you're wondering when the launch of Zen 5 is, it's at the end of July, right? So we're hoping to have something, I wouldn't say comprehensive is a light word because it normally takes us about probably 3 weeks to really kind of find our groove with something as new as this.
And also there's certain benchmarking we can't do until the embargo is lifted, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So we have to be respectful of those things as well.
That's right, yeah. So we'll hopefully have a bit of a look at Zen 5 laptops coming up. I'm personally super excited about it. I think what we've found with the Qualcomm ones is, for light tasks, they are more efficient than Intel and AMD is right now, but they have this really heavy diminishing marginal returns curve, when we're talking about power efficiency here. So if you run anything that requires performance on these, I just had to charge my Surface laptop, which is here. No, I'm using it.
Yeah,
We've got two of them right here a moment ago because it ran out of batteries, right? I would push back heavily that the Surface laptops or any of these Qualcomm laptops have battery power like a Mac. They just don't. Macs just don't have this heavy diminishing marginal returns of efficiency when it comes to power draw to power the laptop. And so with that said, these are kind of close to a Mac in terms of light use if you're browsing the web, using Microsoft Office, but if you start to run anything that requires performance, they drop off very heavily. And the Macs tend to tap out at somewhere around 20, 26, 35 watts. This is top. I'm just speaking off the top of my head here. These ones, the power draw goes right up to like 45, 55, etc. watts, and then obviously Intel goes 60, whatever. So, and it clearly depends on the laptop and the manufacturer. But with that said, when it comes to the Zen 5 laptops, Zen 4, especially the U series, which is their more lower powered ones, were exceptional. They really were really good chips. And they were out almost 2 years ago now, right? So I think if Zen 5 U series continues that trend, I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on these, these Copilot Plus laptops, because if they can improve their power efficiency in a decent step forward, it's going to mean that, hey, do I want to deal with all the issues that come with buying a Copilot Plus laptop, or am I just going to stick with AMD? And the other thing I think that I'm very interested to see, and they haven't arrived yet, the Zen 5 ones, I think they're coming very shortly in the studio.
Next week or something.
Yeah. They're coming very shortly. I think the other thing I'm interested in is really the laptop as a whole, right? And I think what the Copilot Plus ones did, particularly the Surface one that I have in front of me, is it's a really good all-round package. The trackpad is excellent. The keyboard is pretty good. The screen is very good. It's a good the chassis feels very premium. And I think what we've seen before with some of these, particularly the AMD laptops, is they tend to be in cheaper laptops where there's more sacrifices from the manufacturer. So it's not just about the processor, it's also about how the manufacturer is going to package it.
I saw a really interesting question in the chat that I would love to pose to Josh. So this person's budget is up to $5K. That's, every laptop, I feel like. Light and portable, okay battery life, great for photo editing, content consumption, premium build quality, near silent and stay cold, but not a Mac.
Yeah.
So what would be your answer to that?
Yeah, I think we've talked about this one a lot. We actually talked about this morning. Assuming the person hasn't said if it's a 14 or 16 or what kind of size the laptop is. Yeah. I'm assuming with up to 5K, I'm assuming they're probably going up to a 16-inch laptop. this is a tough one. The only laptop that we've found that's not a Mac, which is, I say this lightly, but close to perfect, would probably be the Yoga Pro 9i. You know, you can customize it in some regions with like 64 gig of RAM and an RTX 4070. I don't know which region you're in. That would obviously put it more around the $2,500 price point. In the US, you can probably find it on a sale for $1,800. That one is as close to perfect you're going to get from it as a PC laptop. Once you go above that price point, I would say something like the next step up, and you know, Ethan, let me know what you think as well, because you've used some of these. I'd say the Yoga, like the Legion Pro 7, not the 9, the Legion Pro 7 is probably a good step up. What you're going to find, that one, it's pretty cool to the touch. It gives you graphics, because the Yoga Pro 9i taps out about a 4060, 4070, depending what region you are in. The Yoga Pro 9i, sorry, not Yoga, the Legion Pro 7 goes further. That goes right up to a 4090, so it's going to chew up a good amount of that budget. I think when we think about the high-end laptops, the SCAR 16, I think that has, Taylor loves that one. He would choose that one for you if he were here. The SCAR 16 is very good. The issue I think with the SCAR 16 for me, the fan noise is, I find the fan noise a bit much on it. The Yoga Pro, the Legion Pro 7 that I just mentioned, that one has better fan noise. The only thing about that one is they're all very thick laptops, but that's very thick, and the edge might just cut into you a bit, so you might want to have a palm rest for that one. What other ones have we got in that kind of high
Would there
end?
be a 14-inch? Because they said that they prefer 14-inch, it sounds like.
Prefer 14-inch.
Yeah, so they said 16 is okay, but what would you think in that category?
You know, in a 14-inch for a really high-end laptop, I mean, the one that comes to mind is obviously the Razer Blade 14. I'd say there's two major downsides you have to be aware of with that. And again, a lot of times with picking a laptop, unless you're buying the one I mentioned, the Yoga Pro 9i, or you're buying, say, a MacBook Pro 14 or 16, you are going to have to deal with issues. Every laptop have it. It's very rare. Maybe the one we talked about a moment ago, the Legion Slim 5, the Legion Slim 514, that one really doesn't have any issues. But again, this person has $5,000 of budget, so you're tapping out a 4060, so it's not going to give you that performance. So with a high budget for a 14-inch non-Mac laptop, I would say maybe the Razer Blade 14. What you're going to have to deal with that is the keyboard on those. It's pretty uncomfortable. It feels very low travel. So I find that difficult. If you're okay with a low travel keyboard, that's a good one to get. It also gets very warm to the touch. It's got this kind of metallic chassis, and what happens is it might not feel like it's getting warm straight away, but once that thing hits up, it just does not cool down. It really doesn't. Even for light tasks, it starts to get warm. That metal warms up and it just feels warm. So, but I think if you're looking for a high-end one, the Razer Blade 14 or probably the G14 are the two that kind of spring to mind, a higher-end G14. Yeah. So maybe, let me just see if there's anything else on our agenda that we want to talk about. Yeah, let's talk a bit more, I think. Maybe we can ask one more question and then we can talk about these two other laptops we wanted to bring to people's attention. Okay. Yes, what?
So we've got, hi Josh and Sierra, what do you think about the HP Pavilion Plus 14 2024? Planning on buying one with student discount, 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte storage, Intel Core Ultra 7, 155H, and they are an engineering student. Okay.
Okay. The best person to speak about this one, actually, if you're talking about the 2024 model, is Ethan. You don't have Ethan's not mic'd up, so Ethan, Pavilion Plus 14 2024. You've used that one quite a bit, right?
Intel Core Ultra one?
Yeah, they're asking Intel Core Ultra. Yeah.
Yeah, that one. Well, from what I remember, it got really high.
Do you want to come on and grab Sierra's mic and just tell people? No, you're fine there. Okay, okay.
I think I can hear
yeah.
me. Yeah, I'd say if I remember correctly, it gets really hot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't think the fan noise. No, I'm pretty sure the fan noise was also really bad on it. I don't like it. Might have performed better than the Pavilion with the Ryzen. I think that might be the only reason you'd prioritize it over that.
For engineering, that would make sense.
Yeah, but I just remember it being really loud and
Yeah.
really hot, and I just.
Okay.
So let's cover this. So Pavilion Plus, we're being asked about Pavilion Plus 14. I think this viewer was going to spec it up quite a bit, right? What you were saying before.
Yes, 32 gigs of RAM, terabyte storage.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So here's the issue with that. Okay. The Pavilion Plus 14 is a laptop we recommend as a great laptop at its kind of base level, not spec'd up. Okay. Once you're talking about finding it on sale for $500-600, it's very competitive. Once you spec that one up, it really drops. It massively drops in terms of what it's worth. you know, because once you add specs to that one, you're kind of starting to compete with more premium laptops. And unless you need that 32 gig, like if you could find, say, a Spectre 14 also by HP, and there's some of them available with 32 gig of memory, you know, it's just a huge step up from the Pavilion Plus. Because the Pavilion Plus, as Ethan just said, and he has used this Core Ultra Pavilion Plus, you've done, I think you ran the tests on it, right?
I ran all the tests.
You ran all the tests on it. So, you know, and obviously you've used multiple Pavilion Pluses at this point, and you've run a lot of similar laptops. This one, the Pavilion Plus, it gets hot and it gets loud, right? With the Core Ultra, that is. And that is acceptable with the performance it gives you for a $500, $600, $700 laptop, which is what the base models of them are priced with, and they come with, you know, those lower price ranges. You can get it with a good screen, you can get it with 16 gig of RAM. So those are advantage, but once you go higher, you know, you'd honestly get rid of that. You'd give up 32 gig of RAM to get a Spectre with 16 because it's just such a better laptop. It really is, the Spectre versus the Pavilion Plus. It's a massive step up. So I wouldn't recommend that if you're speccing it up. That's not a laptop to spec up. It really isn't.
Thank you, some guy, for your donation.
Yes.
And apparently it's their first super chat on a live stream. So it's like, let's celebrate.
Welcome. Well, we're just trying to keep it real with you guys here, answer some real questions. Let's switch gears, and we're going to talk about two laptops that we haven't reviewed on the channel or talked about before, that we have spent a lot of time on. Maybe, Ethan, would you mind just grabbing the Predator 14 so we can show to the guys, and then we're going to talk about the Samsung 14. But the Predator 14, the Predator 14 first, the Acer.
Neo.
The Neo, yeah. So the first one we're going to talk about, we got this one in from Acer, the Predator 14 Helios Neo. Nobody is talking about this laptop, which is really, really weird. So here it is here. So this is the Predator 14 by Acer, the Helios Neo. It's got a bit of weight to it, and we've got a lot of 14-inch gaming laptops actually right here on the desk. So there's the Omen 14 Transcend. We won't move these too much because it's going to screw Ethan's set, but it definitely feels more bulky than, say, the Omen. Yeah. It's more equivalent to this Legion Slim 514 here that we have.
It has the little, what is it, stage on the back? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, they call it the Stadium, which is where it sticks out a bit from the screen, the back here. I've used this one a lot, the Predator 14, and I think this is one that I started using and I was like, this is really nice. What I like about it is it has a 14.5-inch display, which I think just adds that, it just gives you a bit more punch for a 14-inch laptop, as in you can just see a bit more, be a bit more useful. I think compared to the Legion Slim 514, which is a similar size, this one, as I recall, it has much more powerful graphics than that one. That one, I think, caps out at a 4060. This one goes higher, which is nice to see. You're also getting really, you know, I would say closer to full wattage graphics than you are on like the Omen Transcend, which is good. And I think what really made this feel pretty special to me, this Predator Helios Neo 14, is in casual use. A lot of these gaming laptops, like the Asus G14, they still feel warm. The Razer Blade 14, they still just always feel warm, which is just really annoying. This one, I would say, only feels lightly warm. The other thing that's really good about it as well is in casual tasks, this one, you know, the fan noise is almost non-existent. It's really good, the fan noise on this one for light tasks. And I want to speak, I kind of divide people doing light tasks on a laptop, and a lot of times even with a gaming laptop, you are doing light tasks. Then there's people like programmers who are doing more burst style performance, like you're testing something, you're running a performance task, it's done very quickly. And then there's those doing continuous performing tasks, whether it's video editing or what would be game playing would be another one, right? This one performs very well in that for like programmers, for instance, who are doing burst tasks, but where it suffers a little bit is probably three areas, I think, this laptop. One is when you do game on it and do consistent performance tasks, it does get very warm. It's very similar to the G14, right? But it's a bigger laptop. I was hoping it wouldn't get as warm. The other part is the ports are very, very far. It's got great port selection, but they're very far down the laptop here, right? So if you're using a mouse hand on either side and you're plugging something into the ports, they could get in your way.
I hadn't even noticed that.
Yeah. Oh, okay, there you go. And then the final one you did notice, which you mentioned earlier in the stream, is
the exhaust is on the side there.
Yeah.
So another reason why, if you're using an external mouse while gaming, that might be something that you'd notice. I would say it wasn't horrible.
Point that to the camera, the exhaust.
Oh, yeah, the exhaust, yeah. it wasn't horrible, but it was noticeable enough that it made me a little uncomfortable on my hand. So.
That's right, that's right. So overall, you know, for me, I don't actually have, A, I use a wireless mouse, so that it didn't get in the way with my mouse where the ports are. B, I actually have the hands when I game a little bit further down, right? So I found this a very, very good laptop. If you want to step up from, say, the Legion Slim 5 14, which we have here, this is kind of like a similar size laptop, 14.5 inch. It's a bit of a chunky 14-inch gaming laptop. I thought it was a very good step up. It gives you more performance than that laptop, but it does feel warmer to the touch, though. It does. It's more akin to the G14. So that's what we're seeing with the Predator Helios Neo 14. And one of the reasons we're doing this live stream, I said this at the beginning, is to tell you guys about laptops of what we've tested, but we haven't made videos on yet. So
yeah, like this one was very close to making it into the student video, but not quite. And so we want to make sure to still tell people that it's a great laptop in a lot of ways. But,
yeah, in a lot of ways. And exactly, what are the pros and cons? Like, who should buy this, right?
Yeah.
So if you're not that sensitive to heat, this is a very good gaming laptop to consider getting. Okay, let's maybe take a look at the next one. I'll actually just answer a question. Ethan's going to grab us the Samsung, the 14. Yeah, got it, okay.
Lenovo IdeaPad 5 Pro, that was another one that was pretty close to making it on the student video, right?
But the gentleman, Michael, is asking about the 14-inch, not the 16, which we have.
The 14-inch,
yeah.
oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. I'll just, look, here's the skinny, okay? The Zen 5 laptops, and you've asked about a Zen 4. The Zen 5 laptops, they're coming in within the next, you know, they're arriving in the studio probably the next day or two. It's end of the month where the embargo lifts and we can talk about them. We're probably not going to cover any more Zen 4 laptops because Zen 4 now is 2 years old. Zen 5 is a huge step forward, right? We haven't tested it yet. I'm actually going to be careful with my words there. We won't say it's a huge step forward yet because we haven't arrived and we haven't tested them. I would presume after 2 years of development, it would be a big step forward, but we'll see. The IdeaPad 5 Pro 14 that's being asked about, we'd love to test that one. I think we're just going to hold off till we get the Zen 5 one in. We do like the IdeaPad Pro 16 very much. 5 Pro 16, or is it Pro 5 16? I always get it backwards. That one we liked very much. That was actually going to make it into our student video too. It just delivers so much for about $1,000 for a 16-inch laptop. You really get a bit of everything. So a bit of, you get RTX 4050 on the Intel model. You get the Intel Core Ultra, decent sized screen. It's a lot of good stuff. Nothing is fantastic on it, by the way. Nothing is fantastic, but there's a lot. Everything is good. Okay.
Did you want to take another question, or we can look at the Samsung?
What do you reckon? India XPS 14. Oi, oi, oi. Oh, XPS 14.
That's $1,625.
$1,625. Oh, the XPS 14. Here's the skinny. Look, you're getting heavily throttled graphics. This is an RTX 4050 the gentleman's getting. It's heavy. It's a very heavy laptop. It does have a 14.5-inch display. It's very heavy. You'd be shocked about how heavy this thing is. The keyboard, you're missing that function row, which for people like, you found it a pain, right? I was like,
oh, the XPS, yeah. I really didn't like the non-tactile function row, I guess. Yeah. Touchscreen type thing.
I just wouldn't. For $1,600, I mean, you could save $600 and buy this, the Legion Slim 514. Honestly, it doesn't look as nice as the XPS, but it just works better. It performs better. I saw that coming through. Yeah, it performs better. This is the Legion Slim 514. Clearly, it doesn't look as nice as the XPS 14. Even the HP Omen Transcend, if you want a more premium 14-inch laptop, I'd probably go that. Its graphics is heavily throttled, but it's still better than the XPS's 4050, a lot better than the XPS's 4050 is like the least performing 4050 on the market. It's not good. It does have a throttled 4060 or 4070, but it still performs better than the throttled 4050 of the XPS. So you can hear in my voice, I think the XPS 14, even at $1,600, I think it's a bit of a miss. We've got one person who's donated some money, so we're going to answer that question. Shadow Fox asks, what do you think about Asus dropping new Zen 5 laptops for pre-order? Your thoughts on quality and value for these models? So we've got quite a few Asus coming in. We bought the Pro Art. Someone asked, are we going to review the Pro Art? Yes, we have that coming in. We did a pre-order on it as the moment it came out, available for pre-order. So Asus dropping these new Zen 5 laptops for pre-order. Your thoughts on quality? You know, let's speak about Asus as a whole. Why don't we use the Asus Qualcomm laptop as an example? Because you've just tested Asus. So there's all these other manufacturers in terms of these Qualcomm laptops.
I like the VivoBook quite a bit compared to the other Copilot laptops. I was a big fan of the. I mean, I love an RGB keyboard. Like I love the little things like that. But I also liked the screen looked really good. It was an OLED. It was higher res. I liked the size of it. I prefer a laptop that has room for a numpad. It's just, I guess, a habit from being a coder. I like having the numbers. Yeah, so I liked the VivoBook. I mean, it's still a Copilot laptop, which has its downsides, but Asus, I guess that, and then also the G14 I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
So Asus as a manufacturer, I think I enjoy from the little experience I have.
I would say, from my perspective, you know, you've got right now, if you're looking for an extremely premium feeling laptop, the Apple is kind of in its own world still. I think the Surface comes close to that. It doesn't quite reach that. We've had a couple of like issues with some of the Surfaces, like one didn't sit flush on the desk, which we've never had with a Mac, that sort of thing. I would say Asus, though, it's kind of like a clear step down from those two. So, you know, when you feel the VivoBook versus even this one that we have here, the Samsung.
It does feel a bit cheaper, yes.
It does, yeah. And I think you see that it's not just from holding it, it's from like the keyboard doesn't feel quite as tight, the trackpad doesn't feel quite as tight. And this is particularly, I just want to be clear, this is on the VivoBook. Sierra also mentioned the G14. That one I would say is a step above. That one, it still isn't at the Surface level, is not at the Apple level. Those are, let's say those are tier 1. It's probably a tier 2. So Asus probably sits in that tier 2, tier 3 bucket, depending on the laptop you're buying, right? So I think, look, we got to get them in. Asus, I would say, is one of the, and I know, you know, Gamers Nexus have covered in depth the issues with their you know, whether it's their return policy or no, it was more their servicing policies. But putting that aside, it's definitely one of the top manufacturers that we have coming in that has the largest number of laptops that are reliable, they're good, they work. You know, I would say probably right now, Apple is still number 1. Microsoft has done very well with this in their particular world. Clearly, you're not going to buy Microsoft to game on, but it's probably maybe number 2 in terms of quality. And then I'd say Lenovo and Asus probably sit next in terms of how well they're doing. So you are zoning in on one of the top manufacturers. You know, most of their laptops are going to be pretty decent with that. Why don't we cover this one?
Yeah, and then we can take more questions.
Do you want to take a stab at this one and we can...
you know...
Let's tell them what it is first.
Okay, yes. This is a Samsung Galaxy Book 4 Edge 14. We got sent this from Best Buy? Or?
Yes. I think that's very important, right?
Yes.
Let's just cover, like, because a lot of these we did by ourselves, right? These Qualcomm ones, particularly the ones in the video. Manufacturers then sent us some which they wanted to return. This is an anomaly one. Best Buy, as part of they wanted us to promote the not necessarily, you know, tell you stuff we don't believe about the laptop. They just wanted us to tell you there was like a special sale going on. So they sent it to us to keep this one, but they wanted us to let you know of a sale. Unfortunately, we were so busy making videos that we missed the sale, which is ridiculous. But anyway, we have now used it. So
yeah. I would say that some of the numbers say things like it's the lightest of all of them. It does feel really light. It feels very premium. I would say it does rival the Surface as far as the Copilot laptops go. It feels really nice to use. I didn't love the keyboard. I felt the keyboard was kind of low travel. And I found out very quickly, because I'm newer to this space, that I don't like the Samsung trackpads. The palm rejection is just a no-go for me. Yeah. Even on the 14 it was noticeable, but it was much more noticeable on the 16. But overall, I think the kind of people that are shopping for a Samsung are very like aesthetics and premium feel oriented, and I think they would still enjoy this laptop. Yeah. It's just comes with the normal Copilot downsides that we've discussed. Yeah,
I'll cover now what I think of it too, which is I think fairly in line. I think I do really like this laptop, but in total transparency with you guys, I would keep the Surface Laptop 13 with the X Plus over it. But I do still think it has some benefits. They're very similar in a way. So both at the end of the laptops in general, very premium feeling. This one, and I would say even this is a step above the Intel one. They have changed like the chassis slightly. It actually looks a bit nicer on the Qualcomm one. And it's, as Sierra said, very, 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 very premium feeling. It really is. I think the other things that I like about it, it is fantastic in terms of weight and portability. So if you want a laptop, and you mentioned this use case,
Yeah.
that you can put in your handbag, right, and isn't going to
Yes.
add a lot of weight.
There was a time I had a shoulder issue in school, and I actually could only use like a purse or like a tote bag for school, and I would have loved to have a lighter laptop during that. I
Yes.
think this would have been lovely. And I know some people tend to use a smaller bag regardless.
Yeah,
So
that's right, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
I've used this one a lot, like a lot. A lot of my the video we've got coming out, Best Laptop for Students, which is a very long script, was spent writing on this, and some was spent on the Surface as well. You know, I think to Sierra's point, where this kind of trips, and the reason I'd buy the Surface over it, the keyboard does still feel low travel. A lot of these Samsung ones, they all do, actually. Every single one of them feels low travel. And then the other one, to, you know, reinforcing what Sierra said, which I totally agree with, the trackpad, it is mechanical, and it just doesn't quite feel, the click I feel it's too much pressure is required to register the click. I'm sure, you know, you could tap to click too, but I like to press. And whereas the Surface has a fantastic keyboard, sorry, apologies, the Surface has a good keyboard but a fantastic trackpad. And so when you're using a laptop, you know, you use the keyboard a lot, you use the trackpad a lot, and that to me made, even though the Surface weighs a bit more, it made the Surface more of an enjoyable all-round experience. But I'd say this is like second to the Surface, but wins on, you know, maybe wins if you like the look better. It also wins on the weight better. Other than that, they're honestly pretty, you know,
they're quite similar.
they're quite similar. Yeah, they're both premium devices. You know, around a 14-inch display. The display aspect ratio is a bit different, but you know, they both offer a pretty good experience. And I would say as well, I was pretty negative on the Samsungs with Intel. I felt that they were just MacBook Air competitors, and there's a bit of that going on with this. But I do think you know, that one got warmer, right? Had less battery life. This one, I think, is a step forward for the kind of user who would buy this laptop. So I'm actually much more positive on this one. And as I said, it's not my top tier of Copilot. It's not my favorite Copilot laptop, which would be the Surface, but it would be the second one, given those. Yeah.
We got a super chat. Any fanless laptops you'd recommend? I have a desktop for horsepower and remote in when I need to. My Pixelbook Go is showing its age. So they're currently maining a Pixelbook Go to remote in.
Yep. And by the way, if you see us looking to the side, that's where we have the monitor. Yeah. Yeah, look, I got to be honest, straight up, we've been very focused on testing laptops that do have fans, right? The only one we've tested which doesn't really is the MacBook Air, which is fantastic, great laptop to get. So we've really got to give you a recommendation of a Windows laptop with minimal fan noise is what I would say, versus giving you one without a fan, because we just don't test. We haven't had many of them come in, whether we've ordered them or they've been sent by a manufacturer. You know, I'm going to say, what would have the least? You know, I've talked a lot, the Surface Laptop 7 with the X Plus, and funnily enough, the thermals in the X Plus X Elite are very similar from what we've found, but that doesn't have a lot of fan noise. It's pretty minimal as long as you stick to light tasks. I want to cover that in a bit because we found something really interesting.
Do we know if they can remote in?
They want to remote in. Oh,
I don't know if that's compatible.
Would you mind just scrolling back up, Ethan, to the super chat? I just wanted to see what the. No, they remote into the desktop. That should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So it depends. Look, remoting in, you'd have to check whether your remote in software works. We do know that Citrix does work. I don't know what remoting in software you're using to get into your desktop. I would say Surface Laptop 7 is very light, but honestly, Matt, why would you not get a MacBook Air? Unless you need to buy Windows. The MacBook Air has no fan noise. It does have, you know, we recently ranked the Surface Laptop 7 versus the MacBook Air. Surface Laptop 7 won slightly, but a lot of people push back on us saying, hey, due to the broader application incompatibilities with it, maybe we should have ranked it worse.
Which
and I hear
completely
that.
valid.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say MacBook Air, Surface Laptop 7 is probably your best bet for something like that. Okay, we're getting another question. Any more? Should we take one more?
We can take another. How loud is the 2023 Razer Blade 14 in regular light use?
It's actually not too bad. Do you remember much of that, the Razer Blade 14?
It's been a while since we've had that one in.
Yeah, we had it in for a while. We had it in for about a month, and we ended up sending that one back. We don't have it in the studio right now. I think it was pretty good for light use. The part that got me about the Razer Blade, and I mentioned this earlier in the stream, one, the keyboard is honestly the least comfortable keyboard. It's really on par with the I'd say it's probably even a little bit worse than the Samsungs. It's probably the least comfortable keyboard in a laptop going around right now. And then the other issue is it does, even in light use, the fan noise isn't too bad, but it just starts to feel warm. It's got this metal chassis, and a lot of them have metal chassis, but that one, it just conducts heat. And once it gets warm, nothing will cool that thing down. Nothing. Even if you run the fans at full ball, it cools down where it's got this weird airflow. It kind of sucks air through the keyboard. So that area where it sucks air through the keyboard, it does cool down with the fans going, but the rest of the laptop, it doesn't cool down.
Lenovo Legion 7i over other 4070 laptops, what would you say? Lots of stars.
The Legion 7i over 4070 laptops. You know, I gave the Legion 7i a pretty good review. You haven't used this one.
I have not.
You've used this. You know, honestly, I think I've kind of mellowed on the Legion 7i since. I tried to use it the other day. That was that white one that I got really excited about using.
Yes,
and then I used it for like 5 minutes. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would say it gets to, the warmth is really getting me on that one. What they did this year, it kind of replaces what was the Legion Slim 7, which was a great laptop. That one, the Intel version, did get warm. This year they've made it, I think it was a hair thicker, and it's now called the Legion 7. You know, the problem what they've done here is they've removed the Intel H series processor and put an HX, which is their most powerful processor. This is what you normally find in the very thick gaming laptops in 16-inch or even 18. But they've put it in a laptop that's more mid-range in terms of its thickness. Actually, would you mind just grabbing it for a second? It's you know which one it is.
And they were specifically asking about AI/ML in engineering. So just to clarify.
Okay. And I think that is, you know, you just need an NVIDIA graphics to really do that, right?
Yeah.
So I would say I think the heat to me kind of frustrates me a bit on it. You've got to be very, very, you really have to have a high tolerance for warmth with that laptop. You know, they've put the most powerful one in a chassis that's it's still very portable and thin. It looks lovely, but I think that HX processor in here was a huge misstep because it's such a fantastic laptop, but it gets so warm. So with that said, you know, I would either, if you were doing AI/ML, I don't know how well the 4060 works for those tasks, but you could go the Yoga Pro 9i, which is it looks ugly, but it's a much more comfortable laptop to use, or you could step up, I would step from this to the Legion Pro 7, I mentioned it earlier in the stream, which is a thicker one, but just a more comfortable one. If you're less sensitive to fan noise, the Scar 16 and 18 are both fantastic laptops to get. The Scar 18 is surprisingly compact for an 18-inch laptop, and boy, is that powerful. We're talking about AI/ML development here. You know, those two, I would say, but their fan noise is a bit rough. So if you don't want fan noise, probably, and the Legion Pro 7 has fan noise, just to be clear, but it's not quite as annoying as the Scars. But the Legion Pro, I've talked about this before, it is a very thick laptop, so you know it might cut into you a bit. It's like, you know, you're putting your hand on a brick, right? And it might cut into you a bit. You might want a palm rest. So that's what I would say for you. Yeah. Does the Yoga Pro 9i get warm or loud enough while doing light to moderate tasks to not keep on my lap? No, it doesn't get that warm. I mean, no, it's very comfortable. I think the one thing you notice, if you've used a lot of these 16-inch laptops and then you go and use the Yoga Pro 9i, the one thing you will notice is a lack of heat and fan noise compared to the others. You described it well with the Yoga Pro 9i. It has fan noise.
Oh,
like when you
need it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal because it's as I'm doing high performance tasks and things like that.
So it has Yoga Pro 9. You get fan noise, as she said, when you expect it to have fan noise, right? Mm-hmm. When you're doing like video rendering or video editing, but then when you're doing casual tasks, it doesn't. Mm-hmm. Let me just see if there's anything else on the agenda before we answer more questions because they're flowing in pretty fast. Oh yeah, we're going to talk about some updates on the website that are coming, some product management ones, which is really cool. Let's answer one or two more questions first, and we'll do that.
Someone asked about the best 14-inch laptop for regular use and light gaming, which I know is your favorite question right now.
Yeah, we kind of covered this earlier.
We have kind of gone over it.
We have spent so much time using 14-inch gaming laptops because we're doing a video best laptop for students. That's the next one we've got coming. It should be out, I'd say, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday next week. It's a massive video, and we've spent more time discussing 14-inch gaming laptops than anything else. Without a doubt, the best one to get is this one down here. It's the Legion Slim 514. We have used all of them extensively last night, and you can ask the guys here.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to play games on each of them. Again, I've obviously played them before, just to kind of experience gaming, just to refresh myself. And the Legion Slim 514, it just is head and tails above the rest. It's cooler. The fan noise is about as good as, like, if you hear the range of fan noise for these gaming laptops, it's about there. So it's at the lower end, it's still fan noise, but it feels so much cooler to the touch than all of these others while gaming. It's insane. It's much cheaper. It's a great deal with the 4060, so that's the one to get. Legion Slim 514, and then the other ones we've been talking about, you can cover the G14 and the Transcend, which is here.
Yeah, the G14 does get a lot warmer, but it is a little bit more of a portable feeling laptop.
And premium.
Premium, yeah very premium. And then the Omen Transcend we've talked about as well. That one is a little bit more, if you're focused on your light use, but you like to have the gaming performance, that's a little bit better option for you, because this one does throttle your gaming performance quite a bit. You're not really getting the full 4070 that you're paying for.
That's right. It's heavily, the wattage that they feel into the 4070 or 4060 is very low wattage. So yeah, that's it. No, I won't reiterate what you said, but I think it was
of course.
said well.
Yeah, we do have lots of questions.
Jeez.
Let's see, I'll start at the top here. The Asus Zephyrus 4070 version is not available widely here in India. Is 16 gigs enough for 5-ish years? 16 gigs of RAM, I assume.
Yeah, I think 16 is fine. It depends. Look, it's one of those things, and we get a lot of these questions, guys. And from a computer science perspective, and both Sierra and I are computer scientists, it depends on what application you run and what data that application is using as to the memory that you need. So it is impossible for any YouTuber to give you a definitive answer. That being said, for most tasks we have found today, and certainly I can't see this changing in the next couple of years, that 16 gig of RAM is absolutely plenty. If you run out of RAM, here's what happens. Okay, and because I think this is widely misunderstood. Let's say we render one of our videos, and we have big videos with multiple layers and effects on a 16 gig of RAM machine or a 32 gig. We might find instead of it taking 9 minutes to render, it takes 9.5 or 10. It's a slowdown. It doesn't stop, right? Things don't stop. Also, and I talked about this a lot in my How Much RAM Do You Need video, the old days of when you run out of RAM and it pages to disk, it uses your disk to hold, programs that are currently being used by the CPU, which should be in memory. And what it does is it swaps in and out, right? It puts a page on the disk. It basically swaps applications out or data that you're not currently using to your disk, and brings new ones in so the CPU can access them. That process used to take a long time. So if you ran out of memory, instead of it taking 9.5 minutes versus 9 minutes to render, what would happen was, because your disks were so slow using those mechanical disks, it might take 20 minutes to render. It was brutal. And these are all thumb in the air numbers, right? But because we've now moved to these very fast SSDs, very fast, that is diminished. If you run out of memory, it slows down, but a little bit, right? Now, that being said, there are some applications that will not run if you don't have enough memory. Now, a good example would be this. Let's say you had 8 gig of memory and you wanted to do a VM. You were doing cybersecurity, so you want to kind of firewall, that's not the right technical term, but you want to protect yourself from the outside. You create a VM for the purpose of, working on some dangerous material, right? And so you create a special VM just for that, right? You're going to work with some hackers or scammers or whatnot. And if you wanted to run an 8 gig VM, but your laptop only has 8 gig, it won't run at all. It'll just give you an error. It'll say it won't run. That is more of a very special use case. With 16 gig of RAM, you could still do an 8 gig VM and have 8 gig for your system. So I think 16 gig is probably still, for the most part, it's totally fine. I really do. I think 32 is extremely safe. And these are general things, but that's what I would say. Wow, we keep getting a lot about these IdeaPad Pro 514.
Yes, that's the second question we've gotten on it, isn't it?
Yeah. And we've had a lot in the comment section as well. What we will do, guys, is we will get the IdeaPad Pro 514 in, but when it comes out with a new AMD Zen 5 version. I have reviewed it before. I have had it in a couple of years ago. We have not had it in for 2 years. We've stuck to the 16-inch version. So I'm nervous about commenting on the IdeaPad Pro 514, but I tend to find, and this is just speaking of the 14 I reviewed 2 years ago and the 16 that we did review this year, that they are very good value for money. They're a pretty safe bet, and I'm very positive on the IdeaPad Pro 5 in general. I just am nervous to give you, advice on a laptop that we just haven't had in. But I hear that people are very interested in it. So for Zen 5, we will get the IdeaPad Pro, assuming they update it with the Zen 5 chip, we'll get that coming in.
That'd be great.
So why don't we talk a little bit about the website, and we can take some more questions before finishing. Oh, I have to ask this one, but according to you, what's the best 16-inch game? Oh, we'll cover that after. So let's talk about the website. Okay.
You're getting too excited.
So, okay, for starters, I want to cover one thing. If you're wondering how this channel is predominantly funded, right, and the revenue that we earn that helps pay for all of this and will help us grow, it is predominantly from affiliate marketing and the website. And so if you do buy a laptop and you're in the USA, please buy it from the website, because it doesn't cost you anymore. It gives some commission that does go to help fund the channel, right? That's how it works. And I like that revenue model. And the reason I prefer it over some of the other tech channels that you might see with a sponsorship revenue model is because, you know, when we suggest laptops, we're kind of like compensated mostly by the retailer. So they don't care really there are some commission differences, but for the most part, they don't care what we sell, right? If we send traffic to them, we get commission. And that really matches the channel here, right? Because we're trying to find the best laptop for you. We don't want to be biased about go recommend this one versus that one or something like that. So that's why I kind of prefer this revenue model versus sponsorship. And I think, and that's one thing that I think is good for you guys. I think the other thing is when we look at how people shop for laptops today, you know, a lot of people, when you go to whether it's a Best Buy or an Amazon, you've got to know what you're searching for. It doesn't tell you, hey, I'm a student, I'm a gamer, and maybe Ethan, you could show those filters that we have on the channel. If you can, I don't know if you've set up for that. If you're not, that's fine. Okay. It doesn't allow you to say, who am I? What is the best laptop for me? You really need to know what you're searching for. And even when you're searching for it, and I won't speak to Best Buy here, but they actually do good with their reviews, but Amazon, you know, a lot of the reviews, I think we feel are fake, right? They seem, you know, some terrible products with, you know, 4.5-star reviews that it's just not a good shopping experience. So we're hoping to kind of bridge that gap by combining together hey, tell me, like a trusted YouTube channel where we're really testing, we're using these laptops with, hey, a website that you can go and find, you know, potentially buy the laptop, right? And we're not selling them directly, we're passing off to the retailers we represent, but that's what we're trying to do on the website. We're trying to make it just, it's a shop that really is shopping the way you would search for a laptop. And you can see it in the comments here, right? I'm doing computer science, AI, ML development. My budget is this. I also play games. What laptop is best for you? Okay? So we're trying to really change the shopping experience. So this is what we've got coming on the website. And it's super exciting. So the first thing is, launching probably next week for our best student video, we've got a quiz coming, which we haven't launched before, which helps you find laptops. So it asks a couple of basic questions and then narrows down the sea of laptops to the ones that we think are right for you. And it is not the full catalog of laptops. We have carefully picked the ones that we recommend. And what we do, by the way, behind the scenes, guys, is we mark laptops for use cases like programming or data science or whatnot, cybersecurity or just casual use, as either recommended for those use cases or viable for those use cases. And then as you add use cases, you say, I'm doing this and this and this, it narrows down that field based on what we've recommended and viable. So we've got a quiz that's going to do that for you. So you don't just have to choose a list and do it. The next one we've got coming is the price tracker. We've had a lot of requests for this. So it will actually, it's this beautiful graph, and it basically is straight up, when on next to the laptop, it says buy now or hold, right? It just literally tells you that this laptop is currently on a sale. It's one of the best sales we've seen. It's safe to buy now versus we've seen it for $200 off, like, yes, we recommend it, but come on, guys, you should wait till it drops in price. So we've got a price tracker coming. The other one that's mostly built, the comparison is really cool. Mm-hmm. So we've heard a lot from viewers that we throw up graphs on the screen so quickly and you guys can't actually absorb the data, or you feel like maybe we're misleading you, and obviously it's not intentional because we don't show you X, Y, Z.
We can't show you everything on the graph,
right.
Unfortunately.
That's right. Yeah, or maybe you want to cut the data differently. Well,
yes.
The good news is we're actually going to start porting all our data onto the website, and any laptop where we're testing, the data will be on the website. Then we're going to show you this comparison, which will show you the specs of the different laptops, and the comparison is you guys can choose what you're comparing together. So you guys can basically create your own graphs. So it'll show the laptops, but you can compare by specs, you can compare by, it'll show price, it'll show our qualitative testing results, and we've started entering them too, like how does it feel, right? These are not quantitative tests, we've used them. What are we experiencing as a user? Like I'll tell you right now, Surface Laptop 7. You plug any of these Copilot Plus laptops into an external monitor, something is wrong. All of a sudden they use like 12 to 20% of CPU performance and they get really warm, right? That's a qualitative test that we'll put about these things that you guys can find. And then our quantitative data, Cinebench scores, heat benchmarks, time spy will be in there too. And you'll be able to create your own comparisons, choose which set of laptops you're interested in, and then you'll also be able to generate the graphs there as well if you want to, download your own graph set, right? So that's coming as well. And then, yeah, we've got some other things that we've got some improvements to how we model the use cases. Right now, when we say, hey, I'm looking for a laptop for school, but I also say game, and I also want to create and do video editing, and maybe I want weight, what happens is if you add use cases right now, eventually there's no laptops to show you because nothing is perfect at all of them. The more use cases you do, generally speaking, the worse you have to accept more issues, right? So what we're planning to do is how we model these use cases is we're planning to build that into our algorithm to say, hey, loosen our requirements as you add more use cases. So that's something you might notice that right now, if you go and click best laptop for students, you click gaming, it does have recommendations. But if you add another use case, it doesn't, right? And it's very binary where we're going to actually loosen that a little bit. And then the final thing we're building into the website, which is super cool, which is email alerts. So, and we're not going to do those awful marketing emails that everyone does. What will happen is when you come in, you'll be able to say, hey, here's my email, it'll pop up and you'll say, which use cases am I interested in? What is my budget? And guess what? If there's nothing for you, we aren't going to smash your email inbox. We're just not going to send you an email. You won't get one, right? But if any laptops that you're looking for go on sale, right, or any news articles of interest for what you're looking for, then we will send you an email update on it. So don't worry, we're not going to send you those catalog emails that every other retailer sends you on like a weekly basis. Those are annoying. I don't like them. But if you do want to track a particular laptop that you're looking for, so say when the price drops, we'll have that ability built into the site too. So a lot going on.
Someone is debating between the Surface Laptop 7 and the Lenovo Slim 7X for an engineer. Any difference on CPU performance? I mean, answer to that question is yes. The Slim 7X performs better CPU-wise, but it depends on what engineering you're doing. It depends on what application developing you're doing. We had really bad issues with Android Studio. So if you're...
I've seen others have that as well.
Yeah. So I guess that's backed up.
I would say, I personally, if I was going to computer science today at university, I would feel very nervous about getting one of these Snapdragon laptops, just flat out. It's not something I feel comfortable recommending. I like the opportunity of running Linux as a computer science person. And just if you don't know why you would run Linux, there's many reasons, but I'll just give you my personal experience. The interior design company that I helped co-found, that website runs on AWS, right? That's EC2, which is the external cloud-based service we used. EC2's default operating system that you get when you open up an EC2 instance is CentOS, which is a Linux. I like to run similar Linuxes on my local machines. So Fedora is a kind of like the base Linux that matches CentOS, not Debian. So I like to run like a Fedora build on my laptop. The reason is when I code for something, and it's not just the code itself, but like there's certain software I might have to have installed on the server that to run the website it accesses, and the way I set up those pieces of software, I learn from my development machine, and then it's exactly the same or very close to it on the server, right? Otherwise, I'm running a Windows machine, I learn how to do things on the Windows machine, but then I have to relearn it on the server, which is inefficient. So from a computer science perspective, these Snapdragon laptops, they don't run Linux, right? And I think, Sierra already hit on a good point. Mm-hmm.
Some of the emulation you might need to do, or just general coding and compiling may not be as efficient as it should be.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep, she's spot on, right? So we had a lot of data science questions or AI ML questions. MATLAB doesn't run very well on these Copilot laptops. Look, hopefully the support improves over time, no doubt, and I'm sure the Linux community will bring Linux out on them. But right now, I would not go to school running if you're going to comp sci, because you're going to use a lot of specialist applications in computer science, I would not buy a Snapdragon laptop. And we talk about this we've got our best laptop per student video coming. We talk about this then, but that's not the right use case. We're going to take one more question because I'm determined to stick at time today.
You said the 16-inch gaming laptop is the one that you wanted to answer, unless you see something else.
I feel like we've already covered that a bit. Let's see if there's anything else. Hey, how do you feel about M4? Hey Josh, how do you feel about the M4 not being much different to the M3? I thought the M4 was quite different to the M3, to be honest. I'll answer this one. I think it's a very interesting one. Here's what I think about M4 to M3. I think it's actually going to depend more on the package of the laptop itself, not just the processor. I think M4 is actually quite different to M3 in the sense that it is significantly faster. But I think where Apples are struggling right now, if anything, is predominantly in the base memory that you get, right? When we talk about the computer science case that the person just mentioned earlier, I really want you guys to be on a base of 16 gig of RAM. The Apple MacBook Pro 14 with the M3 chip, not M3 Pro, comes with 8 gig of RAM and it costs like, $1.5 grand, right? MacBook Airs, most of them up until about 1.3 grand, come with 8 gig of RAM. That's completely unacceptable. So rather than focus on M3 versus M4, I think the biggest thing that Apple's going to do to win buyers is if they increase that base RAM in their MacBook Airs and the MacBook Pro 14s. If they come out with 60 gig of RAM in the MacBook Air or MacBook Pro with the M4 chips, honestly, they're going to wipe the floor with these Copilot Plus laptops. They really are. They just really are. And I think, when we look at M3 versus Snapdragon right now, we just did the MacBook Air M3 versus the Surface Laptop 7. And remember, those two will only overlap for a couple of months. Most of the time this is out, it'll compete with the MacBook Air with M4. Right now, they were neck and neck in which one to get in terms of our scoring, and we've talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
We should have said this in the video. I thought people already understood this. The scoring, feel free to change the scores. Please weight the scores to what's important to you.
Your mileage may vary.
Exactly. I think that should be obvious, right? I've said it in previous videos, but people kind of jumped at our scoring and our titles on this. But nonetheless, they ended up fairly similar based on that scoring method. I think if Apple came out with a 16 gig of memory MacBook Air with M4, and M4 was a bit faster than M3, it will crush the current breed of these Snapdragon laptops. Just crush them. So I think it's not just M3, M4, it's also what else is Apple going to do. Another good example would be, the screens on the Airs are a bit dated, right? They're not fast refresh rate. If the M4 MacBook Air has a fast refresh rate display as well as 16 gig of RAM, it's over for these things. It's just over. Yeah, I think it's really about what else is coming. Oh my gosh, there are so many questions. The important comparison that done yet, Zephyrus G16 4080 versus Legion 7i 4070. Yeah, that's not, that one, both of those laptops have issues. The G16 we've talked about a lot, Hardware Canucks have talked about a lot. For some reason, that laptop's fan noise it's rough. It's better now, but it's rough. And then the Legion 7i is a bit of a furnace. It gets very hot. So I think they've both got issues. I think that's, what do you think, Sarah?
Are you ready to wrap?
What do you think?
Okay.
I think so. We're kind of on time here.
Yeah.
We'd love to stay more, but I think seeing the volume of questions here, we'll try and do this. Let us know, by the way, if you thought this was useful. Because as I said, we're trying to do a couple of different things here. We're trying to give you, guides on the laptops that we haven't reviewed on the channel yet. We're trying to tell you what else is going on that we're working on, so you guys get to see a little bit of an insight inside the organization. And then we're trying to answer some questions. Let us know if you think this is a good weekly live stream to do. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you later.
Yeah. See you next week, maybe.